Hi, Zizaran here, and I am going to be reading the manifesto for the upcoming 3.19 league. People aren't super happy. As an intro, it is a bit of a confusing manifesto because it doesn't make that much sense. There's like quite a lot of nerfs, and a lot of the nerfs I actually think are quite good, but there is a large but here because we aren't getting anything back. Honestly, in my opinion, a pointless manifesto. I feel like there's something missing from the manifesto. And if there's nothing missing, then I think that could be quite bad. So we'll start first with the good parts. Some of the popular skills have been nerfed, except for Seismic. EA and Seismic didn't really get nerfed that much, but DD seems to have got quite a big nerf. And people were quite bored with DD being super OP. That being said, Seismic was more OP than DD and maybe didn't get enough of a nerf. There is a rebalance of less popular skills, and there will probably be more stuff in the patch notes and more details. And there is a big defense shakeup. I think the nerfs to spell suppression was quite good because it was way too easy to get. The fact that you could basically spell suppression cap on just 4 items was kind of insane. So moving some of it to the skill tree and away from items and making it not as easy for Marauder and Templar to spell suppression cap, I think that's quite a good thing. Trickster rework announced. We don't have too much details yet on that. Aura Restoration overall got nerfed. This is very scary. It's not the worst, but again, we need to get something too. So we'll see. It could end up being a good or a bad thing. Obviously, nerfing power creep is important. Minion playstyle got reworked and SRS got buffed. The SRS like minion instability build might be insane now because they said like ignite is buffed 3.5 times. So maybe doing minion instability ignite could be insane. Omniscience got nerfed, but it is still OP. So it's fine. It's completely fine after the nerf. And Ashes of the Stars is untouched. Arguably, it is buffed because Reservation got removed or nerfed in other ways. The target of the patch seems to be to shake things up, and hopefully it ends up doing that. And we really need to see the actual patch notes. Like I said, this manifesto kind of seems pointless. Let's talk a little bit about the big nerfs. So spell suppression, huge shift from gear to passives. All the passives are buffed, including traveling ones. Either way, Raider's a lot stronger now because it's going to be so easy to suppress cap, and suppression is still just as strong as it was before. They did not nerf the mitigation. Seismic gets duration and cooldown recovery nerfed. I don't think this is enough, but definitely a good nerf there. DD did get the double tap. Necro is losing the corpse health, and there's more corpse health nerfs, as well as the specters that were bugged is finally fixed. EA got a minor nerf, 20% damage nerf to EA, so that's fine. It's also going to be stronger for leveling. Melding got nerfed as well. That was a very deserved nerf. Melding is basically getting max stress built into the jewel. That's great. I think everybody was expecting and hoping for melding nerf because it kind of breaks other things like Zibakwe and stuff like that. So pretty good that melding is nerfed. Necro +2 minions got nerfed. It got moved. Helmet doesn't have like +3 local anymore. It's got +2 global. Just a buff to some skills and a nerf to others. I know the minion community is pretty upset right now. Detonate Dead got massively nerfed as well. So as far as defense changes, there were several things that happened here. Defiance banner got changed quite a lot. The armor innovation part got nerfed, but crit stuff on it got buffed. So with aura effect and a banner aura effect, you will have a very, very large source of crit reduction, which is really good. So Defiance Banner will absolutely still be used, especially on hardcore, but the armor innovation aura buff stuff is nerfed massively. But it's such a cheap aura that it was too strong already. Reservations changes across the board with the 15% mastery is completely removed. So it's going to be harder to run multiple auras. Arctic armor got buffed, especially on the standing still part. So combining that with the Pantheon that lets you get fizz reduction for standing still, you have a pretty, I think it's 34% combined or something, which is quite a large amount and makes standing stilling in some bosses quite viable, especially easier things like Minotaur and things like that. Blast charges was nerfed. It is down to 3 charges per hit that you gain, down from 7. And that you can only get at level 80. So remember that now, early on, you're going to have to roll your flasks with reduced charges early on instead of flask in when you are hit. Gravicious Craft is deleted from the game in the way it is. It instead has Fizz taken as Ellie, which is huge. This is a great thing for a lot of builds. It is shitty to lose the Life as Extra ES, but you have other sources of Life as Extra ES, such as Doriani, like the Glorious Vanity stuff. But the new Gravicious buff, quite strong as well. Fortify is a lot easier to gain now. No other real changes until we see patch notes. And the Grasping Mail global modifier is axed in half. It is now 50% more global defense. Mind Over Matter is getting changed as well. It's getting buffed. Cloak of Defiance is getting changed or nerfed, which is a bit confusing. But Mom is now 40%. So we could see a big increase in people using Mind Over Matter. Minions in general, outside of basically SRS and Golems, everything else is kind of getting shafted. I think this is quite a bad thing because Minions is really, really nice to have as a good, accessible thing for new players. New players don't really know what they're missing either way, so it's pretty much always okay. And it generally ends up being experienced players being upset on their behalf. But a lot of things are getting quite nerfed. I know Herald of Purity, maybe Absolution. Still okay? I can't remember. But SRS looks like it's getting a big buff for Ignite. Maybe you can do Bleed SRS now. No, you probably can't, but still, it's interesting either way. Animate Weapon gets an annoying nerf that even increased mana cost. I think my last Animate Weapon had like a 70 or 110 mana cost per summon, so very annoying. Now it's gonna be even worse. Arcali's Fang is nerfed. Minions are not in the best spot. Spellslinger does get a big buff for damage effectiveness. It's almost doubled, so I think we'll see Spellslinger, especially Spellslinger Soul Rend. Sounds like a very fun mapper. Chaos skills and dot skills in general struggles a little bit at the moment. The problem with Soul Rend, which is played right now, is that when you're playing a Chaos skill, you kind of need all of them. You end up needing Soul Rend, Essence Trade, and Blight to be able to have any single target whatsoever. It ends up being a large investment with needing things like plus level gauntlets, like plus level gloves and stuff like that. And yeah, it needs a lot of effort to make work. However, as a map clearer, Spellslinger Soul Rend should be very fun. Some small buffs to other things like Cracklands and Cleave, but they're basically doing nothing. So they do need bigger buffs. Sunder getting a pretty large buff, and I think Sunder will be pretty popular this thing. There are Ascendancy reworks to Trickster, Jug, Chieftain, Pathfinder. Jug one is interesting. It basically has a mini Transcendence effect now where 8% of your armor is used to defending against elemental damage. This could be insanely strong because Transcendence comes with so many downsides. This doesn't. So it'll be really, really interesting. I think that could be good, but Jug needs more. And we're hopefully getting more in the patch notes. But either way, the new Jug node, very, very cool. I feel like there's something missing in this manifesto. I think it was a pointless manifesto because I'm hoping there's something missing. If not, it was a bad one. And I do understand why people are upset. I'm going to wait with being upset until 8 days from now when we get the full reveal. There's a Norwegian saying called "Ta ikke sorgene på forskudd," which means don't experience your sorrows before they happen. And that's what I'm going to do because right now, I do understand why people are upset, but it is too soon to say until the patch notes are out. And I would rather hope that just something was missing and maybe everything will be fine and exciting after the patch notes. But yeah, kind of I would not have done a manifesto this time. I would have just gone straight for patch notes. Without patch notes, it could end up being that it's a very stale meta with Seismic and EA still being used a lot. There's no mention of Elusive or Nightblade, which is very, very confusing. That was the weirdest thing for me in the manifesto, that Nightblade isn't mentioned. So a lot of Lightning Strike still. I feel like I wanted another type of defensive mechanic to be added to the game to make up for, so that we had a bit of more of a balance. Because right now we're missing defensive auras. Oh, a big thing that I almost forgot to mention, they're removing Life Tap from Divine Blessing, and this is so bad. In my opinion, I thought it was a great way that we were doing it currently. It costs quite a lot of gems, and it is risky to use that much life mid-combat, especially on bosses, because you could die right after popping it. And that was a good way to give players like a way of having to keep their damage uptime and give us a defensive or a damage aura, because now players are currently not using damage auras unless they're able to use Divine Blessing, because you have to use everything on defense. So I think that was quite weird. And hopefully we'll get more buffs in the patch notes. Either way, kind of boring, uninspired, and pointless manifesto without seeing the rest of what's gonna happen. But either way, I do quite like a lot of the nerfs. They do make sense as long as there's something else. Either way, we'll see you soon, and hopefully you guys enjoy the TLDR. I'm still excited, and we'll see what happens at the reveal. So thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.